So Alex Garland's Civil War wasn't the great American politics think piece that everyone thought it would be. The marketing campaigns and the press interviews for the film were pushing the story as one that would show deep insight into the recent political divisions in America, how ripples of disunity could lead to the downfall of one of the world's superpowers and what that might look like.
It's really about humanity and what a civil war does to a country.
Democracy is an important thing.
I think the film was written really not just about this country, about a weird state we're in to do with division and polarization and extremism, the things that flow from populism.
However, after watching the movie, it's clear that all this discussion in the press revolves around just the setting of the film, not the story. The reasons why the country became divided and explanations for why the Western forces want to kill the president are left pretty vague. The Civil War is not the focus of the movie. Instead, it acts more as just the setting. There is no real through-line statement on politics or the division of America. The film stays neutral in the conflict of its world by focusing its lens on a neutral party, the press. War journalism and the heartbreaking reality behind it take the main stage as a group of journalists road trip across a war-torn America in hopes of getting to interview the president. It's a rather simple story, but it's held up really well with its strong characters, so spoilers ahead, but Kirsten Dunst plays Lee, a renowned war photographer who's deeply tormented by the harsh and violent imagery she chases after. Wagner Moura plays Joel, the charming, charismatic journalist who gets off on the action and the thrill of war. Stephen McKinley Henderson plays Sammy, the old-timer who's seen it all and acts as the mentor figure for our characters. And Kaylee Spaney plays Jessie, a young, striving war photographer who wants to get her feet wet and become just like her hero, Lee. The heart of the movie really lies between these two characters. Lee, grappling with her own role in wartime, is scared of the continuing cycle of violence. She fears that similar to how wars are eternal, so are those who must document them. There will always be photographers and journalists who must capture the injustices and the brutalities, and they are bound to become just like her, stoic beyond emotion, quietened and diminished by the horrors they've captured.
Hey? Let's go.
Facing this fear comes up in the physical manifestation of Jessie, who's never experienced any sort of trauma. Lee would like to protect Jessie, but she also remembers what it's like to be that young girl, thirsty for action and a good story. So Lee allows Jessie to tag along and experience it all, bear the explosions, see the dead, and witness the suffering. But when Lee finally realizes her role and embraces that she must change the cycle, she's too late. Jessie runs into her fair share of traumatic events throughout the movie. In her first explosion encounter, she loses all hearing and goes numb. However, upon every traumatic incident that follows, Jessie hardens. She toughens up and recovers quicker each time, honing her craft. Maybe honing it a bit too well, because when Lee makes a sacrificial play to protect Jessie, both physically from a bullet and figuratively from this lifestyle, Jessie is quick to capture it on camera. It feels brutal to know that the cycle will continue as Jessie, without a moment of hesitation, takes the picture that Lee had thought about taking all movie. The dynamic between these two characters, how they interact with each other and the other characters and the world around them, is more important to the story than explaining how a civil war might occur. It's a shame that the film was marketed as an antithesis to current American political discourse when it's more about the value of truth and unbiased in journalism. And there's some funny level of irony going on here too. Despite being forthbringers of the truth, the main driving force behind the journalists in the film is getting the hottest scoop. They don't care so much about documenting the realities of this time, they're in a race to interview the president. Getting the most clicks, the most views is their motivation. Similarly, the advertising for this movie didn't care so much about portraying it as honestly as it could, instead opting to highlight the dystopian near-future America as its primary focus, because a movie about war journalism just won't get as many clicks. So I think a lot of people will come out of this movie being disappointed that it wasn't what they expected or wanted. They will likely criticize it on those measures rather than criticizing the movie for what it is. The film still has a great claim on some political matters. It will spark conversation, so it carries importance in that manner, but that's not really what it's all about. I personally really enjoyed it. It was full of haunting imagery, authentic acting, and Jesse Plemons plays the perfect weirdo, so what's not to love? It was also just a very tense movie. Every bullet felt just as gut-wrenching and brutal as every camera shutter. Let me know in the comments if you agree or what you thought of the movie. And if you like my content, please check out some of my other videos and maybe subscribe. But no pressure. Thanks.